Ladies, oops, hope I put my microphone off. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Battle of the Belly Buttons. Let's hear it! Yeah! Music isn't too loud, sorry about that. So, let me introduce our contenders here. In the red corner, hailing from the great city of Chicago, put your hands together for Doc!
And in the blue corner, from the great city of Cleveland, Ohio, sponsored exclusively by LeanDog, the reigning Outie world champion, Cheezy!
Yay! Yeah, that's me. Okay, that was our grand opening. How was it? Was it okay? So we're going to do some battle here, but let me say right up front that this talk is about code. This is a craftsmanship conference, and probably about 80% or more of the time we're going to be here, we're going to be writing code. So if that bores you, hit the road. We're going to do battle, and the battle is going to kind of look like this. Doc and I are going to build a portion of a Rails app. We're going to each build the same thing, but we're going to take two different approaches to building that. I'll let Doc talk a little bit more about that in just a moment. This is sort of a little screen that kind of gives an example of what we're going to build. But the approach that I'm going to take is an approach called outside-in development. Now, who's heard of that? Anyone? Okay. So that means I'm going to start from the outside of the app, the UI, and start to build these thin little slices all the way through to the back as we construct it. Doc, what are you going to do?
I am going to do inside out, sometimes also known as Detroit style. A little love for Motor City. Anybody? All right. Yeah, so what I'm going to do is basically the opposite. I'm going to start at the back end, at the model, and I'm going to build my way forward to the view.
All right.
All right, general rules, it's pretty simple. There's going to be 3 rounds. Each round there'll be plenty of coding. And what we're looking to do is ultimately satisfy these sets of requirements, these simple scenarios that map back to the screen that you guys saw just a little bit earlier.
Okay, well, shall we get started? We've got a lot to do, a lot of coding to do, so let's get started with round 1. And, all right, Doc comes out swinging. I guess that means it's time for you to code, huh?
It is time for me to code, brother.
Okay, there you go.
All right, so quick intro, pretty straightforward here. What we're looking at is basically my preferred development environment. I've got...
Can we dim these lights up the front by any chance? Can we dim?
Yeah, so...
Can we dim the lights in the front just to make it easier to see the screen? Would that be possible? I don't know who runs the lights. Anyone?
Anyone? Bueller? So I am running iTerm, and what we have here is just 3 basic little windows open. So the left, which is currently what we're looking at, that's where all the actual magic's going to happen. That's where the editing is going to take place in Vim, of course. And then here in the upper right, I'm just running guard so we can actually see the results of all the tests, the specs, and the features as we go forward. And then down here, I'm just going to use this as command line for the occasion that I actually need it. All right. So I am starting from inside out. So I am going to start with the model. So we will take advantage of Rails here. I wonder if we should do the font sizes larger.
Yes, please.
I don't know.
Can you dim the front lights?
Is somebody in charge of the lights here, by any chance? If we could dim the lights in the front, it would make me... Okay, great, they're checking on it.
If this is Detroit style, we could shoot them out.
There we go. So pretty simple. I'm, the order is pretty straightforward. We got a name, we got an email, we've got an address, and of course we need a pay type. And while Rails is doing that for me, let's get this rolling over here. Let's get Vim rolling. Right. I tried to pre-stage and there we go. All right, so order spec doesn't do me a whole lot of good right now. It's got a pending step. And let's get our actual order model open as well. And while I'm at it, that a little better?
Yep.
All right.
Push it over just a little.
Push it over.
Here, let me do this.
Got it?
Thank you.
Okay. Okay. So this is of no use to me. All right. So first, we want to just require a name on our form, right?
Since we're battling, can I make fun of him while he's doing this?
Yeah, you may, you may, you may. You know what? I got this wrong. It's error on. Name with message.
So, you know, all this live coding, there's absolutely nothing that can ever go wrong.
Right.
Can't be
Not
blank.
it. What is my error message?
Can't be blank.
Can't be blank.
See, I have to help him out already. Look at that. What's that?
This is the fun of watching live coding.
That's right. That's
If
right.
you guys, if it was perfect, it wouldn't be any fun.
It wouldn't be any fun if it was perfect.
So I don't actually have an order.
Well, mine may not be fun then. That's all.
So let's just do this. I'm going to have Factory Girl actually build an order for me, and I'm a little lazy, so the order definition for Factory Girl's already been created. All right, so cannot find table orders. Of course it can't. What did I not do? I did not run my migration. So let's get that taken care of. And we should get an error here once that's done, but not because we can't find it. Undefined method with message.
Errors.
Of course.
What, Vim doesn't fix that for you?
No, it doesn't. Thanks. So, we're going to validate name.
Presence.
Presence. Hey, come on, I'm just looking for the keys. And we got the first passing test. All right, so pretty simply, I'm going to go through and do this for the other fields on the form. So name, email, boom, boom. It's going to fail. Why? Because we don't have email. Same thing for address. Very good. All right, now pay type is a little bit more complicated. Let's keep this consistent.
Now you need popcorn.
Because it's not just that I want to have a pay type, I want to have an actual valid pay type, right? So,
Much easier to see.
let's pass it a bogus pay type to begin with. to have errors on pay type. But this time, I hate this error. What is it? Not
Is
not found.
included.
What? How is that possible? And that error does not exist yet, so we're going to put in a different validates. It includes? No. Is that right?
Inclusion and
Oh, come on. Inclusion. And I'm going to go ahead and make payment types. A little array here. Credit card. Oh, let's see, a check. And how about a purchase order?
validates.
Oh, of course.
What, Vim doesn't fix that for you? Oh, jeez. These primitive editors.
This is not included in the list. Oh, the
message.
list.
See, this is why I let him go first,
Yep.
so I can get all these things and do it myself. Do it right.
And there we go. All right. So that tells us that it doesn't accept an invalid pay type, but you know what? It doesn't tell us that it actually requires a valid pay type. So let's make sure that's also true. Check. Hey, come on, consistency. And what do we got here? Purchase order. All right, we're going to go through each of these. And order pay type equals pay type. And the order should be valid. That should be a free one. And it is. And we're done.
All right, so you see Doc was starting, whoops.
What's going on?
Doc was starting at the back end.
I'm going to start at the front end with the actual feature, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a very, very thin slice through the front. So I'm going to kind of start at the same place, where I'm just going to start with the scenario that has the tag focus on it up above. So I'm literally just going to drive to test it that actually puts a name on the field, tries to save it, and then whenever it fails, I should get the right error message.
And none of this exists yet. And I also didn't cheat and add my factory ahead of time either. I just want you to know.
No, but he did write the entire thing as one macro.
So let's see here. I'll start off with my steps. They're all pending, so we're going to start from scratch here. So,
What I'm going to do each time is, as I get an error,
oh, I should have introduced my environment as well. Let me do that real quickly. But each time as I get an error, that error is going to kind of inform me of what I'm going to do.
what you see here is Emacs, and this large panel on the side is where I'm going to write all my tests. So all my test work is going to be there. The top right is going to be where I work out the views. The top left is where I'm going to work out the controller and the model and all the other code. I've got this slide out panel here where I'm running guard. You can see we just failed. I'll talk about that. And then I've got another tab here as well where I'll execute some commands if I need to. And in this case, I failed because it says it doesn't know anything about checkout page because it doesn't exist yet. So I'm going to go ahead and add that right now.
Okay, and I'm going to run it. I also have the browser popping up each time, and I've inserted some artificial sleeps that I normally wouldn't have. But the reason that they're there is so that as things fail or as we go to pages, you get a chance to see what's displayed up here. I typically wouldn't have those, but I decided just for you, because I care, I'd put these in there. Don't forget that whenever you're judging who wins the battle. Okay, so this time it says it doesn't know how to navigate to the checkout page. So I think we can take care of that. Okay, well, with any luck, it will know how to navigate to the checkout page now. Let's let the browser run. And let's see. Alrighty. So what you're going to see now is the first step is actual green. And I've now moved to the second step, which is yellow. So now it's time for me to go ahead and start to write that as I work my way front to back. So this is going to cause me to write a lot of code, this particular one. So let's run the browser. And you'll see here that the first thing it's complaining about is that the checkout method doesn't exist yet on the page object. So in order to get that to work, to check out and to actually put the values in the field, I'm going to go ahead and declare the minimum number of elements that I need to declare in order to interact with the page. Okay. So that's the entirety of it. So I've added this a name field and a button because that's all I need in order to complete this pass through. I've added a checkout method where I'm taking some data that's going to be coming in from a Magic Land. I'm populating the page with that data, and I'm clicking the place the order button. So let's go ahead now and run the browser. What you're going to see as I go through this is until I actually hit the code behind the view, Cucumber is going to be driving it. I typically don't use unit tests for the view. I just let Cucumber kind of flush that out for me. But the second I hit the controller, which will be here very shortly, what I'm going to do at that point is I'm going to actually not only let Cucumber inform me, but I'm going to actually use specs to bring that code into existence. As you can see at this time, it actually tried to find a thing on the page, and it didn't find it. Well, part of the reason it didn't find it is the page doesn't exist, so that would be a problem, right? Another part of it is that the screen before, when I'm clicking the button that would take you to that page, what it's actually doing is it's just redirecting you back to the home page. So for the first time, I'm going to have to get into some application code. And here, I just need to change where this button is going to take us. And we'll go ahead and save that and run. And this time, you'll see that it tried to take us to the right page. The error there was that the controller does not exist. So I finally have driven to a point where now it's trying to hit code. So I'm going to use the Rails generator to generate this. And okay. Restarting some things, and let's run the test. Okay, perfect. So what has happened now is it actually sent to the controller. Except that all the controllers here have a filter on it, which basically says if you're not logged in, send you to the login page. And what I want to do now is I want to write some code that's going to skip that. And with that in place, let's run the tests. And I finally got to the page that was generated. So I've actually worked all the way through now to the system where it's hitting the page. If you look here, we still are saying that we can't find the things on the page. So I'm going to delete what it generated and start to put it together now. Okay, I've got the start. And the error that I got was that it is looking for this thing called order, and that thing doesn't exist. Actually. So I am now going out to my orders controller. So I finally have used the feature to drive me to a point where I need to start writing real code. And so I'm going to use unit tests right now to help bring that into existence. I'm going to delete this test that was there. So I write my first unit test and it fails, which is what I expected. That failed as well, which was not what I expected. Like I said, live coding, you've got to love it. It failed because it does not know what an order is. That makes sense.
Emacs doesn't do that for you?
Hey, watch it, buddy. Okay. Okay, so we are now finally at a place where I'm landing on the right page. I've got the model, everything is there. I just now finally need to put the actual fields on the page. So there's my text field. And there is my button. And let's run it and see what happens. So I got there, and my next step passes. Yeah! One final step to go.
Yeah. I feel like I got a rope-a-dope going right now, buddy.
Okay, let's run this. Okay. So what I'm doing right now is making my page actually insert the information it needs in order to be able to find the errors on the page. Okay, so that's done. Let's run it again. Okay. And at this point, we're looking for the error message. The error message is not there. It's not there for a couple of reasons. The first reason it's not there is that the controller is actually not routing back to the page whenever it fails. So I'm going to actually test drive the code that will cause it to do that. And that should fail, and it does. And that should pass, and it does. The last thing that I need to do now is I need to actually cause it to fail whenever the name is not there. So I'm going to go back and write a test that you wrote, Doc, except I'm going to do it better.
Yeah.
First thing, I don't have a factory, so I'm going to have to go out and build one. Let's see. Of course, Emacs will do that for me.
I bet it will. Look at that.
Okay, Spork has finished restarting because it needed to reread the factories. And let's make the test pass. And it passes. What you're going to see now, as it runs, is you're going to get there. Ooh, that is not what I expected to see. Okay. This is phenomenal.
What, that you made a mistake? Made like 5 in 30 seconds.
It's in the controller? Ah, it sure is. Thank you. See, pairing works. What I haven't done is I haven't actually written the code to actually redirect or to render the new template whenever it fails. So. We can do that. Okay. Now let's see what happens. Oh, oh, oh. Well, that looked good. It didn't look good here. I just need to learn how to type. Can someone help me with that?
What'd you miss?
Oh. Doing the wrong measure.
Oh.
Perfect. Okay, the last thing I need to do is actually put my errors up here. And with that, behold, please work. Fingers crossed. Please, please, please. And it's green. Phenomenal. So let's get back to this. Alrighty. So Doc won. Give him a hand. So what you saw here was two quite different approaches. So I've now got a thin slice working front to back. I'm hitting the database all the way back. I've got validations on it. Doc has his entire back end, working.
All of it.
Pretty sexy there.
Thank you. Yeah, but that's all I have working.
Okay.
It's just the model at this point.
Yeah, but you took the round. Whoops, and I threw my microphone down.
Why would you do that?
It was fun. I think I'll put it in my pocket this time. Okay.
You ready for
I have a
round two?
feeling that things are going to change in the next round, though.
Yeah.
'Cause I took longer than you this time, without a doubt. I took longer, but I just think that I might be a little bit ahead.
Let's see.
We'll see. Let's go to the next round. Round two. So in this round, I'm going to finish all of the remaining scenarios except for the last one. I'll save it for the grand finale. What are you going to do this time?
I'm gonna build my controller.
What? That's all? Won't them do that for you?
I'm gonna build my complete controller.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Okay, I get to start first this time.
You do.
Okay, so let's go back over here. So I've got this one passing. All I'm going to do is move this focus tag, which controls which one runs at a time, down to the next one. So let's let it run. It's going to complain a little bit. Run, baby. Okay, and as you can see, I got all the way to the point where it says it can't be blank. It didn't find it. Let me put it on my page object, save that. Run it. And so now we're at a point where it's actually trying to add it to the field, and it's not there, so let's go ahead and take care of that. And this is address. Okay. It should show up on the form this time. Except it didn't send it back to the error page. Let's figure out why. Because it doesn't know that it should require the name or the address. And that passes. And we'll run the specs. And we'll run the feature scenario. Yes. How you like that?
How you like me now?
And Emacs did that for me. So, let's see if I can get another one in here. Okay, run it. It's going to fail. The reason it's failing, first of all, okay. This time here, the same thing. And okay. And the last thing, I just need to let it know that order is required again. Okay, and if we run that, that one is passing. You're going to see my little pop-up here. It's green. It says, "We love you, Cheezy." And so I'm going to drop right down to this one, and this one's going to have some pending steps. So there's nothing in the step definition for this yet. And it's giving me that warning. So, this payment types are okay, let's let that run.
For you.
Okay, it's going to complain for a couple of reasons. Okay, so now we should go all the way to the page to try to find it. And in this case, it did not exist on the page. So let's add it. So I'm going to go ahead and write the code that I wish I had, do a little bit of design by intention here. Okay. And it's not going to be happy because it's going to say, oops. It's going to say, "Cheezy, you're getting crazy, getting too wild on me." And it doesn't know anything about payment types. So I'm going to go over now and write some tests to cause that to exist. And I think we'll do the same thing to start off with. Thanks for helping me figure that out.
The list.
I'm glad I could take advantage of you. It's my specialty. And that unit test is failing. Okay, let's see what happens. Unit test passes. Scenario. I'm green.
Green.
Let's see what you got.
Did it again.
This thing doesn't like me.
No.
I did do it again. It fell out of my pocket while I was setting down.
That's awesome.
You wonder why my wife doesn't let me have toys. Too rough on him. Oh, you want me to show your screen?
No, it's cool.
Wow.
That's cool.
Okay.
It's actually more exciting if I just do it in the dark.
Go ahead.
All right. So, a lot of this is going to be pretty familiar. So what I'm about to do is build out the controller. So while I was sitting there waiting for Cheezy forever, I went ahead and ran.
Wait a minute. How many scenarios do you have green in this time? How many? How many was it?
I went ahead and ran the Rails generate controller and had that generate the code for me. And then it actually creates a couple of HTML specs that just basically get in the way. So I removed those and went ahead and ran the migration as well because I had not run that against my regular database. So we can see that I did all of those little things while we were sitting here. And now I am ready to start actually building out this controller. So basically the first thing we need to do on a get new is it assigns a new order as order, right? Yeah, hang on. So we're going to stub new and return a mock order, and then assigns order should be mock order, but we don't have a mock order at this moment. So let's get that in there. Hey, mock order. What do I got here? What is it? Stubs? Nothing? Yeah. Oh, help me out, Cheese. I'm already lost.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Mock order stubs. I want to mock model
Yes, there you go.
order
Stubs.
stubs as
Null object.
null object. Thank you for sitting down. Somehow that woke my brain back up.
See, just sitting next to me increases your,
Pairing is good. Pairing is good. All right. Fails. And why does it fail? Well, we expected an order back and we got nothing. So that should be pretty easy. Let's make that an instance variable. And it didn't like that. Hang on. How about we actually call the method? What do you think?
that would help.
Yeah.
I I have a little secret for you, Doc. If you don't call the method, it's not going to do it.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's really
So,
crazy.
What is it? Get new?
I love this thing. Whoever thought they'd put a Mickey Mouse fist on a, yeah.
What am I doing here? What is it?
Get new.
That's what I had. Like so.
Yep.
That's what I had. All right, so it's failing for some other reason. Still got a nil. Is my mock order not right?
It looks right to me. But if I saw something that was, oh, you don't have you're not skipping that filter.
Ah, man, I always forget that thing. Yes, so the security, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is it? Skip.
Before filter.
Yeah, before filter. Authorize?
Yeah.
And I only want to do it for,
New and
New
create, which happens to be the only
and-
two you have.
what's that?
You're missing an E on before.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks.
I was gonna let it fail once, just to keep the humility alive, you know.
Does that work? Oh, that's interesting. I got a different order. This does not need anything else. I don't need stubs.
Nope, there's no stud being passed in.
Orange do, get new. Oh, you know what? Maybe.
Nope.
I
Not
don't
for
need-
new. No, not for new.
Not for new. Oh, that's only for the create.
We love to code live.
Designs order should be mock order. That looks good. And this, is it an instant variable? It's an instance variable, right?
Yep, you're all right there. So what is it saying here?
What do we got going on, dude?
Does mock order needs to cache that value?
Yes.
Ah,
Thank you.
yes.
Add order.
At order.
No.
What?
In front of mock model.
Oh. Like so?
Put a couple pipes in front of it, and we'll smoke it.
Yeah, let's do that too, just in case, right? Like so?
Yeah.
There we go.
And that's why you were getting a different one each time. Look at that.
There
Finally.
we go. Thank you. That's why we're getting a different one each time. You are correct, sir. All right. So, little anticlimactic there. So on create, basically the same thing, right? A newly created order as order. And here, we're still going to stub the new. And we're going to get a mock order. But in this case, we're going to pass params to this guy?
If you don't, you might have. I would save.
Huh?
Pass save.
Yep. And this time it is get create. And this should be the same. Did not like that at all.
Mm-mm. You need to pass in some params if you're create.
Of course I do. Order. Do I need to? There. Right?
Sure.
Still doesn't like it. Oh, yeah, I sure do. I got my parentheses backwards. Thank you.
Get rid of the one at the end.
Yep. Okay.
You done yet?
No. In fact, I feel like it's going to be a long time.
I know who's winning this round. That's what I gotta say.
Order, new, Rams, order. Does that look good? All right. So now we're dealing with the parameters that got passed in to create. All right. So what's next? What do we have to do next? We actually had to, we want to make sure that it redirects to the agency page after it's been saved, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so order, stub again, new, in this case. We want it to save. And response should redirect to agency, right?
Mm-hmm.
Redirect to, and it is agency URL, which of course it doesn't do. So that we want it to have always happen if order save redirect to agency URL. Good. All right, the next thing that we want it to do is we actually want it to render new if save fails, right?
Mm-hmm.
So again, order new, and this time we're going to get back a order that didn't save. How tricky are we?
You're so tricky.
And in this case, response should render template new. And do I have an end on that? I do not. I always go back and forth about whether or not I like the editor to auto close for me. And it seems like every time I decide I don't like it, I wish I had it, and then when I have it, I wish it was gone. And this one's pretty easy. Render template, new. All right? I said it was easy.
But you're wrong. Render action new.
Oh, of course it is. It is two separate statements. All right, let's just get rid of that altogether. Render, and then it is action. New. Like I say.
Excellent.
And now it passes.
Are you done yet?
I am now done. Thank
Oops.
you.
Actually, there we go. So let's see what happened here. Yes, and I dropped my microphone again. This thing doesn't like me. I'm gonna just tie it around my neck or something. So,
How about this?
there we go. Yes, this thing doesn't like setting in my pocket. It keeps falling out. Oh well. So let's talk a little bit about the two approaches. We've seen enough of it already. So Kit, back when he was designing TDD, he started off, well actually he still is, doing the inside-out approach. And his whole thought was that we start by knowing and understanding the piece where we are, and we build it and we start to continue to refactor it as we discover new pieces that we need. We start to pull them out, start to build it out, build it out.
It was very, very much state-based, although we're using our spec here, which is more BDD style for that approach. The outside-in approach was quite different whenever it first came out. I'm going to throw out my opinion about the two. I use them both, but I mostly do outside-in. What I find is that I end up writing a lot less code when I do outside-in. Often when I started the model and work my way back, I start to make these assumptions around what I really need, and so I start to code it up, and then I get into the controller, and then I start to realize, wow, I didn't really need that shit I put in the model, but I'm gonna leave it there just in case, you know, you never know in the future. But when I start at the front and drive to the back, I literally end up with Lean just exactly what it is I need by the time I get to the back end. Nothing more than what I need to support the view. What do you think, Doc?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I find the same thing. This one, as we did this example, half the reason I knew what it was that I actually needed and only what I needed was because I just watched him build the damn thing, 10 minutes before. Otherwise, if it's actually something new and I'm going from the inside out, I am making a lot of assumptions. I'm building a lot more stuff that maybe I don't actually need. So yeah, my tendency is actually to go from the outside in as well. I started inside out, and actually Cheezy introduced me to the London style, if you will, and it pretty quickly became a much more comfortable approach.
The other thing that you see is I've got actual pieces working full stack already. So you're working in an architecture where there maybe are some pieces that you don't know or understand, or you're not exactly sure how you work. Taking that very thin slice, starting at the front all the way to the back, lets us real quickly uncover any uncertainties or anything that we're not quite sure about. So I'm a huge proponent of that. Now we're doing this in Rails, and some of you might be thinking, well, it's easy to do in Rails, you can do that, but we're a Java shop, or we're a .NET shop. Actually, you can do the same thing there as well. There's no reason you can't.
No.
What you'll see is that we're building out some mocks in the controller, and we're mocking things, and we're working our way back as we go through, and you can do the exact same thing anywhere, to be quite honest. Anything else, Doc?
No.
So we've got one final round here, and the goal of this final round is to finish it up. I think I might have an unfair advantage here, Doc. What do you think?
Yeah, so I agree. So I've got to build the entire front end, and Cheezy's got to basically do one more test. Now, I say that it's played out this way because he ate all my time at the beginning.
Yummy.
But that's easy for me to say. I'm glad to see if we can, go head to head and get this thing done. I'm also glad to let you just kind of finish her up so we can do some Q&A either way. What do you think?
Well, let's go ahead and give it a try.
All right.
I like to see you sweat.
Yeah, I appreciate it. You're a good guy.
Thank you. Anytime. I'm glad to do that. So you ready? Whoa, there's the bell. There's the bell. You want to start it off, Doc?
Yeah, let me get...
Because remember, this is like a winner take all. I think I'll just stroll around a little while. Go ahead and get started. All right,
so
I'll join you here soon.
I'm going to clear out the buffers that I had because I'm not worried about those anymore. Let's actually open up, finally, for the first time for me, what are we here? What is it?
Maybe something like a feature.
What are we working on? Yeah, checkout page. What
the
are we
product
working
owner
on?
gave us.
All right. Right, so this is actually the first time I'm dealing with this guy, right? So let's go ahead and let's get the step definitions open as well.
We're head to head.
This is pending.
I'm feeling the pressure.
Yeah, I can tell. All right. So the first thing we need to do is visit the home page, right? And then we're going to navigate to, to checkout page. Cool. All right. So that should. We still got pending test, but at least this first one should go green. Man, good thing I got a solid state hard drive.
And I don't.
Yeah, go figure.
It doesn't know about checkout page.
Does not know about checkout page. Why does not know about checkout page?
Doesn't exist.
Features, support, pages, check out page.rb. Yeah. Class. Checkout.
I'll give you a few more minutes to squirm, and then I'll come over and put you out of your misery.
You
Don't
are,
worry, I'm coming from the
you are a
knockout.
hero. Ah, look at this. It's getting in the way. All right, so what do we want here? I know for sure that we want page object. I know that we want data magic. Yeah. Is that enough to actually kick this guy?
I'll go ahead and take control here. What? Keep going. Keep going. We'll see how you go. Keep going. I'm just going to run this last one just to see. And let's run it. And it says that it's not. It's all pending. And this step that I just wrote, I'm actually going to have to write some code to implement this. Actually, it's not quite forcing me to yet. This one's going to force me to. So, I don't see the message. Whoops.
Well, it didn't fall out of your pocket.
Yep. I only dropped it 8 times. I don't know how it could be broken. It is broken. Okay. You can hear me. Okay, so I do have one spec still missing. Yeah.
You want it?
How you doing over there, Doc?
Oh, I'm getting there. All this, all this weird crap because of page magic.
So let's see here.
I gotta get my routes. Hey, come on. Checkout page. Checkout.
Okay, my spec works, and let's see what happens here. Oop, I still have one last thing to do. Bada bing.
Oh, look at you.
Let's see if it works. Oh, let's see if this works. Oh. Oh. Oh! Arrogance brings you down.
Nice. On checkout page. Come on now. We're gonna check out.
I'm giving you a chance.
Yeah, you're a sweetheart as usual.
Now we got it. Very good. How'd you go, Doc?
Well,
How'd it go?
I think I got my first one passing.
You got your first one passing. I'm done.
Yeah. You wanna?
Okay. But since I'm a nice guy, we'll call it a draw.
Yeah, draw. Yeah. So again, he had all my time in the beginning, right? Yeah, so where I am right now is, I do have the first one passing, and I've got to build in the error message. For me, the difference here is that, now that I've got, you know, the view pretty much, you know, kind of built out, once I got that, my specs just start happening for free. Like, you know, one after another just start passing. So basically, all of the required fields happens all at once. You know, a bunch of this stuff, because the wiring was there, but it just takes me longer to get there. And again, we've had all these assumptions along the way about what it is that I might need as I'm building this thing.
And so driving from the front to the back, you know, as I go through, I know each step what I need to do. So I don't know if you saw this or not, but I was using a little trick that Corey Haynes taught me a few years ago, which was every time you see a failure in your scenarios or in your feature files, the first thing that you do is you jump over and write a spec to actually try to recreate that same error message. And so that's basically what I was doing is as I got an error from the feature or from the scenario, once I got into the code base, I jumped over and started writing specs to start trying that out a little bit. So there you have it. Those are the two approaches. We do have just a little bit of time left. So I figured that we'd try to answer any questions or whatever you'd like to talk about. Anyone have a question? I can't see you, so just shout out if you have one. Yes.
What?
I could see you, but
Yeah, apparently the prior
can't
statement
hide.
is false.
Hello, I'm Barack Obama.
Hi, Barack.
One of the big problems I have, I agree with you that testing from the outside in, but I do have situations where it starts getting difficult, and I find myself, rather than beating my head against the wall, letting myself fall into a little bit of inside out to break through that sometimes. My problem is knowing when's a good place, at what point. Do you have any ideas on that? Where you draw the line for letting yourself do that?
Yeah, so let me repeat the question. The question was that I like to do outside in, but sometimes I kind of get stuck, so I switch over to do some inside out sort of approach to kind of get myself unstuck, and when do you try to do that? Was that the question? Yeah, I actually do the same as well. I really use a combination of the two. I don't know that there is a hard and fast rule that for anything like that. For example, in this little app that we are playing with here, there are actually some technical requirements that it would be really hard to write a scenario for, and I typically would kind of document those in the feature file, and I would just go out and start to bang those things out along the way as well. So things like clearing sessions out and things like that would probably happen at some point. I don't know that there is an art or science to it. Whenever you get stuck, it is a good idea to kind of step back. If you get too stuck, just delete your feature branch that you're working on and start over again. That's sort of the approach I go. Each of these rounds, we each spent roughly 15 minutes or so with a round, and that's about as much time as I would want to spend on a feature branch before trashing it, and if I wasn't agreeing at that point, I would want to throw it away and start over again. So I don't know that there's a science to it. It's more just a gut feeling that you get. It's time to move on to a different type. So I don't know, Doc, you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, it's the other thing I would suggest is, and we didn't do it here, but you know, typically as I'm going along, every time I've got a green, I go ahead and do a git commit, and I typically label it with, order controller :create, and what's the requirement that I just got to pass, right? So I can very easily roll back to where I was if I get myself down one of these rat holes and just kind of, all right, and then go again. So I don't have to necessarily set a 15-minute time limit, for a whole branch. I can roll back to where I was just a few minutes ago, hopefully, if I'm starting to feel stuck.
Okay. Any other questions? No questions? I see a hand, sort of.
You got a hand there?
Yes.
So how does this apply if you're working with a legacy code base, right, and you're thinking through, okay, well, how do I start adding tests? Do you have any thoughts on that?
So the question is how does this work with a legacy code base and we're just trying to add tests? So, boy, it sucks to be you. But seriously, I think in cases like that, what I would try to do is I would try to get scenarios around the app as it is right now. So sort of like a baseline to help me know that it is, how it's behaving, and to let me know if I make a mistake. Because anytime you're actually test driving or trying to drive new functionality into a legacy app, especially if the code base is not real clean, that's a very risky business, and you always have the potential to make a mistake. So that outer first scenario would be there to sort of catch me if I do make a mistake. And then at that point, I would try to, if I had that scenario and it was working, and now I was going to go drive a new, or change some of the functionality, what I would probably do then is I would probably change the feature again to how I want it to behave newly, okay? And then from that point, I would start to try to go in and surgically try to get that thing to work. So, I mean, once you get into legacy code, it gets really messy, really dirty, really sickening, disgusting, dirty.
Yeah.
I like it.
So for me, it depends a little bit on what exactly is my objective here, right? So if I'm looking at a single class, and maybe there's just some big gnarly hairy method in that class, and it doesn't have a lot of external dependency, which in a legacy code base, how often does that happen, right?
Never.
What I might do is rather than profiling it with features, I may actually profile it with more of a unit level, just saying like, hey, here's what I actually see it doing. If my goal is to refactor that one method down, because I'm not as much interested right now in the full end-to-end behavior as I am just this one thing. But in either case, profile it, make sure that you understand what is it actually does. One of the things I find, I've did this with a client a while ago, where I was writing all of the requirements as it should. But what I was doing was actually telling them what it currently does. So it actually had requirements that said things like, it should allow you to change the state description, but not the state code. And they were like, well, no, it shouldn't do that. Like, well, but it does. And so that's how I actually originally wrote them. And then those things stick out. Like, wow, that's clearly wrong. Okay, well, what should it do? Let's change the test so that it actually reflects what it really should do. And now let's change the code. So.
Time for one more question? No more questions?
All right.
Thanks for those of you who paired with us and helped us out.
Yeah. Appreciate it.